Assalamu alaikum dear students. I hope you all are fine and enjoying your online studies. I'm your teacher Hina Amreen, and today in this video lesson we are starting unit number 12. The name of this unit is The Forger of the Flame. This is the story of a man of words and valor, and in this story we will learn a moral lesson at the end. The story Forger of the Flame is written by the writer Mark Edgman. In this story, he tells about the person's hard work and the bravery as he trains many knights and warriors for safety of the kingdom. In this lesson, we will learn about knights and armory. You can see here, this is knight. And what is armory? Armory is the costume which a person wears during the battle, and this costume is made up of steel or metal, and it is made by forgers. And here we are going to share the details about knights. Who is knight? A knight is a person granted an honorary title of knighthood by a head of state or representative for the service to the kingdom. Let's start reading the unit here. I'm sure you will enjoy the story. In the bowels of the dark castle, a master of iron and steel, who forged armor and weapons, worked. He toiled day and night, providing the finest weapons in the world for the knights who defended the kingdom. He worked alone, often to the point of exhaustion, to meet the number set by the king. Here there are some difficult words. First of all, in the title the word is given forger. That means a person who processes the heating and shaping metals. Bowels means depth or the innermost part of somewhere. Forged means formed by pressing or hammering with heat. Armor is a protective metal body, which we have seen in our previous slide, and usually knights wear this metal body during their wars. The person toiled day and night. That means he struggled, he worked hard day and night. It was a hard job, but he had been doing it for 40 years. He was like a father to the knights, who would often talk with him as they brought their swords and shields for repair. Here you can see the word knights means soldiers who fight on a horse. Exhaustion means extremely when the person is tired. The forger of the flame would teach them about truth and valor and about the greater war we all fight within ourselves. Here he is talking about the conscience that we have in our hearts to follow the right or the evil ways. Valor means courage and bravery. He teaches the knights to follow the way of courageous and bravery. They truly loved him, although a seemingly insignificant person. Here insignificant means unimportant, and this word is used for forger, the man. In the scheme of things, he cared for the knights and the people they protected. This made him important to them. Although he was not so important person in the state, but his actions, his good deeds made him famous for the knights and the other people as well. When a knight was killed in the battle, he grieved. He felt grieved because he felt sad because the knights were just like family for him. When someone in the kingdom was hungry, he took food to him even if he did not have enough for himself. That shows he was a kind-hearted. When a child was born to a knight or squire, he was there. Squire is called the trainer of the knight. So he was always there in their happiness and in their sorrows. He was the godfather to 475 children, many of which were currently knights themselves. It's like he was helper and he was the leader for many knights. The king, however, was becoming increasingly erratic. The king was not moving and ticking around his subject and the people. The Ministry of War was secretly steeping certain herbs in the king's tea not to cause mental instability. Here, Minister of War is being criminal and he is steeping certain herbs, he is putting certain herbs in the tea of king to make him unstable mentally. Mental instability means not firm and the state of being unstable, unconscious. The Minister of War had a preoccupation with death and suffering. Preoccupation means state of being occupied. He was under control with the death and sufferings. He loved to watch people suffer because it was in their pain that he felt alive. This shows the cruelty of Minister of War, that he felt peace in himself when the people were in pain. He planned on ruling the kingdom after the king lost his mind. The forger of the flame knew what was happening and he could not be silent. He had to speak out. He knew he could be charged with treason, but sometimes in one's life one has to put oneself in harm's way for the sake of righteousness. So he did the only thing he could do, he prayed. This is how Minister of War was challenged by the forger of the flame. He raised his voice against him and he tried to sort out the issue. But he was charged with treason. Treason means the person who is being announced guilty, faithless, or not loyal. Meanwhile, the Minister of War charged the forger of the flame with being a spy and ordered knights to arrest him. Spy, a person who secretly gets information. The knights who were given the orders to arrest him were the forger's godchildren and were unsure what to do. Now here was the test for the knights, because he was the godfather for the knights, and the knights had to obey the order of the Minister of War. And then, a moment of clarity, the knight arrested the Minister of War and confined him to the dungeon until an investigation could be launched, and he was captured into the prison and till the investigation was started. What happened next? After arresting, the head bishop of the church discovered the herbs the Minister of War had been using. The bishop turned them over to the kingdom's physician, who developed a remedy to heal the king and restore him to his former health. So here he sent all the medicines and he discovered the treatment for the king, and he came back to his former health. Former means previous health. Afterwards, the Minister of War was executed by the king. After being guilty, Minister of War was put to death with a legal sentence. The king was entirely ungrateful for what the forger of the flame had done to save him and the kingdom from the wicked clutches of the evil Minister of War. Now here the king became ungrateful for the sacrifices that forger of the flame had performed. Here wicked clutches means evil grasp or hold. He wasn't even mindful of the risk of the forger of the flame took to restore the kingdom back into the king's hand. He wasn't even mindful, he wasn't aware that forger of the flame took a great risk for giving him back his kingship. The king ordered the forger to go back to the armory, the place where he used to prepare weapons, to continue making swords, shields, and armor for his kingdom. Therefore, the forger just collected his pay and retired to the south side of the kingdom. He decided to leave that place. He collected his pay and left. He bought a farm and began to build himself a house. He did not have much money because he was never paid very much. But he believed strongly in God's provision and planned to live off prayer. Like he here trusted in Allah's wish, and he spent his life with this hope that Allah is going to provide him everything. As he began to chop down his first tree, which he would see for lumber, he could see coming over the hill what appeared to be a crowd towards him. his home site. Actually, it was thousands of people made up of the knights of the realm, their wives, their children, people from the village, the bishop and his congregation, all coming to help the forger of the flame to build his home and start a new life. The people helped him build his home and gave off their possession until his home was furnished. During any night of the week, dozens of people would be at the forger's home, talking, playing games, eating, and just being happy. The king began to lose the loyalty of his subjects, but continued to rule them with little influence until his death. On the other hand, the forger continued to instruct his extended family of thousands until he died many decades later. His teachings continued to instruct the good folks of the kingdom long after his death, as they were handed down from one generation to another. It could be said that the day of the forger of the flame stood against evil for the sake of righteousness. The power of the kingdom shifted that day from the castle to a little farm just south of it. Here we have some difficult words. Retired means he withdrawn with his positions. Live off, he depended on something. He depended on God for earning his livelihood. Lumber is a wooden log. Realm is a kingdom. Congregation, religious assembly. Gave off, the people left their possessions and helped the forger of the flame. Decades is a period of 10 years. I am sure students you have understood well and you have found this story very interesting. Take care all of you. See you inshallah in the next lesson. Allah Hafiz. Have a nice time.